Hi, welcome to Main Street Macro. I'm Mila Richardson. I noticed on my walk this morning that it is unseasonably warm for February. It reminded me a lot about the US economy, which is much warmer than many economists had expected for this time of year. In fact, the narrative around the economy has gone from we're going to have a hard landing and recession in 2023 to a uh, softer landing, avoiding recession, to maybe no landing at all, that the economy just keeps soaring. Well, here's three questions to ask to see if this warming trend in the US economy will continue. The first question is: will consumers continue to hold the line on spending? Well, in data released last week, it certainly seems so. In fact, consumer spending, retail spending, surged 3% from the previous month. That's after two consecutive months of declines. Consumers are 70% of the economy. So if they keep spending, growth will likely be warmer in the first quarter of the year. The second question is what is about growth, and we'll get new numbers on the Q4 GDP growth this week. And that question is: what sectors of the economy is driving growth right now? Now, in the third quarter, the last time we saw this industry breakout of GDP, it was tech that was driving growth. Information services, professional business services, science, and tech were the key services that were pushing the economy forward. Well, we all saw those layoffs in the tech sector in the fourth quarter of last year. So the key question for 2023 is: will tech still be that driver of growth this year as it was in the third quarter of last year? Now, the final question I'm asking in terms of the economy is whether or not housing will make a U turn and start contributing to growth strongly this year. Housing took a hit last year because of higher mortgage rates, and those were triggered by the Fed raising short term interest rates. The mortgage rates actually peaked at over 7% last year in October. Now they've come down a little bit to a more reasonable 6%, but still stronger than they have been in recent history. But if consumers can and home buyers can come back into the market with that little bit of rate decline, we might see a housing market that really supports economic growth this year. So, with all of those questions, there's one fundamental one that is really key. Will this warmer economy in any way derail the Federal Reserve's attempts to chill inflation? Well, for our take on that question, please take a look at adpri.org. And thanks for watching.